everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we have a good old-fashioned book haul. These books I've accumulated over the course of probably like 3.5 months, maybe 3 months, unsure, don't remember, doesn't matter, but let's jump right into it. First, we have the book that I'm currently reading, which is called The Message by Ta-Nehisi Coates, who's the author of Between the World and Me, which I have not read yet. But this is his newest, I think it just came out like in October or September. This is his newest nonfiction book writing about race in America and in Palestine and Israel and the conflict between Palestine and Israel. This is interesting so far. I find myself comparing it to one other book that I read earlier this year by James Baldwin, The Fire Next Time, which might be totally unfair. It's another essay about race in America, specifically in the 20th century, and I just found that to be one of the most amazing things I've ever read, ever. And this compared to that is just coming up a little bit short. It's not resonating with me as much, but these themes are extremely important, and it's always interesting to hear it from like these themes and these ideas coming from a different perspective and someone else's experience with it. And I'm really enjoying these sections on Palestine and Israel currently, or enjoying might not be the right word, but I'm finding it very interesting and elucidating and enlightening and what have you. So that's The Message. Okay, this next book's kind of random, but it's actually not random. Okay, so this is Jose Saramago's Journey to Portugal. So it's his non-fiction work paying homage to Portugal and writing artistically about his home country. When Jose Saramago decided to write a book about Portugal, his only desire was that it be unlike all other books on the subject, and he has certainly succeeded. I own a couple of books by Jose Saramago, well, now at least. I haven't read them yet, but I bought this because in June I'm going to Portugal. I'm going to Portugal and I'm going to Spain, and I'm so excited. I'm literally so freaking excited. So I want to make it a point this year, which I'll talk about in a video that hopefully I'll film soon, like books that I want to read in 2025 and goals, I guess. I really want to make it a point to read books from and about the country and countries that I'm going to. So I was doing a lot of research, and it was kind of difficult for me to find things that I was interested in. It was difficult for me to find books from Portugal, and I think at first I didn't realize that Jose Saramago was from Portugal. I thought he was from Spain, but I think it's because he lived in both places, and I believe he died in Spain. So I think that's why I got confused, but Portugal. Yeah, he's like the big author that comes up for Portugal, which is cool. I love that I learned that, but I'm so excited to read this because I don't want to read like a boring nonfiction travel log kind of a country. I want to read something that's like artistically and beautifully written, and this being Jose Saramago, who is a fiction author, who a lot of people love and respect, who's won the Nobel Prize for Literature. I'm really excited about this, and I'm thrilled that this exists. So yeah, there's like pictures and maps, and it's going to be all about the country and stuff, and I can't wait. When I bought that, I also got another book by Jose Saramago. This is a fiction work, and this is called Death with Interruptions. I believe this is where death is personified, and she decides that people, she doesn't want to work anymore, nobody's gonna die anymore, and it's what happens to the world when that happens. So it says on the back, on the first day of the new year, no one dies. This, of course, causes consternation among politicians, religious leaders, morticians, and doctors. Among the general public, on the other hand, there is initially celebration. Flags are hung out on balconies. People dance in the streets. They have achieved the great goal of humanity, eternal life. Then reality hits home. Families are left to care for the permanently dying. Life insurance policies become meaningless, and funeral parlors are reduced to arranging burials for pet dogs, cats, hamsters, and parrots. Death sits in her chilly apartment, where she lives alone with scythe and filing cabinets. and contemplates her experiment. What if no one ever died again? What if she, death with a small d, became human and fell in love? So I'm very excited for this. I love that it's not a million pages long, and I love his covers. I think they're beautiful. Next, we have a book that I bought because I think I was just like having a bad day and I gave in. But I've been wanting this book for a really long time, and I'm glad it came out in paperback, or I finally noticed that it came out in paperback. And that is The Bee Sting by Paul Murray, which is following an Irish family. And I've heard nothing but good things about it. And I don't really know exactly what it's about other than that. The Barnes family is in trouble. A lucrative car business is going under. But Dickie is spending his days in the woods building an apocalypse-proof bunker with a renegade handyman. His wife is selling her jewelry on eBay and half-heartedly dodging the attention of fast-talking cattle farmer Big Mike, while their teenage daughter, Cass, formerly top of her class, seems determined to binge shrink her way through her final exams. As for 12-year-old PJ, he's on the brink of running away. So, yeah, just catastrophe hits a family in Ireland, and probably where they go from there, and their relationships. And I've heard nothing but great things. Can't wait to read The Bee Sting. Glad I have it in paperback. Next, I have these two books, and I swear I bought another one the same time I bought these, but I could be mistaken. I probably am, because I don't know where it is. But after reading Madame Bovary by Gustave Flaubert earlier this year, I decided to go to Barnes & Noble and pick up more French literature, because I guess I was in the mood, and you know, when in Rome. So that's what I did. I picked up 2 books by Émile Zola. Actually, I don't think I'd read anything by him previously. I think I thought I did, but it was actually Guy de Maupassant. So yeah, now I have 2 books by Émile Zola. Who was extremely prolific, by the way. We have Therese Raquin, which is set in a dingy apartment on the Passage du Pont Neuf in Paris. I feel like I sounded cool when I said that, but I really hope I didn't offend anybody. I never practiced that. I might have sounded really dumb. Moving on. Therese Raquin is trapped in a loveless marriage to her sickly cousin, Camille. The numbing tedium of her life is suddenly shattered when she embarks on a turbulent affair with her husband's earthy friend, Laurent. But their animal passion for each other soon compels the lovers to commit a crime that will haunt them forever. Therese Raquin caused a scandal when it appeared in 1867. Of course it did, because so many books have. Anyway, yeah, dingy Paris apartment, scandal, affairs, French, you know? So we have that, and then I also got, because I couldn't pick between the 2 of these. Couldn't pick between the 2 of them. Nana. Is it Nana or Nana? Unsure, but I'm going to say Nana, which I believe is about is she a prostitute? I think that's what I remember, but let's talk about it. Born to drunken parents in the slums of Paris, Nana lives in squalor until she is discovered at the Theatre des Variétés. I don't know. She soon rises from the streets to set the city alight as the most famous high-class prostitute of her day. I was right. Rich men, counts and marquis, fall at their feet. Great lady, is it counts? Counts? And marquises, whatever, fall at her feet. Great ladies try to emulate her appearance. Lovers even kill themselves for her. Nana's hedonistic appetite for luxury and decadent pleasures knows no bounds until eventually it consumes her. Nana provoked outrage. Again, another one that provoked outrage. Okay. Doesn't that sound fascinating? I know. I'm so glad I bought it. We have some Victorian books, which I bought because of Victober. So these I bought in October. We have another Wilkie Collins. I mentioned in my previous video, which was my recent reading wrap-up, that I don't think Wilkie Collins is my guy. But I want to try another one. So I did pick up The Law and the Lady by Wilkie Collins. which I think is about like an interesting marriage law, like a weird specific niche marriage law. So Valeria Woodville's first act as a married woman is to sign her name in the marriage register incorrectly, and this slip is followed by the gradual disclosure of secrets about her husband's earlier life, each which leads to more questions and enigmas. Her discoveries prompt her to defy her husband's authority, to take the law into her own hands and become a sleuth. So she becomes kind of like a female detective, but from what I've heard, it's all about her just being obsessed with proving her husband's innocence, or maybe just trying to, or maybe his guilt. I don't know. I think people said his innocence, but I got that. We'll see if I like it. After that, I will either give up on Wilkie Collins or we'll see. I also got The Doctor's Wife by Mary Elizabeth Braddon, which was the Victober group read this year, which I did not end up getting to. I didn't end up getting this book until the end of October. I ordered it in like the very beginning, but it took a while to get here. It is a retelling of Madame Bovary, or it's paying homage to Madame Bovary. Because Emma Bovary is married to a doctor, a provincial doctor. Her rewriting of Madame Bovary. Braddon's heroine, Isabel Gilbert, is trapped in a marriage to a man incapable of understanding her imaginative life. And I loved Madame Bovary. I loved all the themes involved there, so I am really excited to read The Doctor's Wife. We'll see when I get to it. Like I mentioned again in my previous wrap-up video, I got kind of burnt out, specifically on Victorian literature, but like on books in general for like a hot sec there. So we'll see when I get to that, but I am very excited about it. Okay, and then we have Agnes Grey by Anne Bronte, which is in this Modern Library edition, because this is all that was available at Barnes & Noble. And I really wanted it because I don't have it yet, so I had gotten it. Yeah, I really want to reread Jane Eyre and Wuthering Heights soon, but I needed a reprieve from the Victorian literature. I think my main takeaway this year, which I didn't mention in my wrap-up, but I think my main takeaway this year was that Victorian literature feels so suffocating. Like, the characters are probably so suffocated just with the social structures and the way things were. To read it feels so suffocating, which is I think why I loved Madame Bovary so much too, was because I feel like that French sensibility has much more like freedom to it, although similar because it's like from the same time period and there's like lots of overlap. Yeah, so like everything just feels so repressed, and I felt that so heavily this year reading Victorian literature, and it made me feel heavy. Like it just made me feel heavy and like I needed to escape, you know? But anyways, I got Agnes Grey, excited to reread Jane Eyre and Wuthering Heights eventually, hopefully soon, and get to this work by Anne Bronte, which I have read, The Tenant of Wildfell Hall. It didn't light my world on fire, but obviously it's a very important work. I liked it. I enjoyed it when I read it. So interested to read Anne Bronte, which I think this is just a small, quiet book about a governess. And it's supposed to largely be largely autobiographical, I believe, about Anne Bronte's life. So that's Agnes Grey. The next three books that I have are very exciting. They're very exciting. They're all hardbacks. They're beautiful. I've already read one of them, okay, and it will appear in a video that I do hopefully very soon. Playground by Richard Powers. I was just walking around the bookstore and I'm like, I want that. I was having a bad day. And I bought it and I read it last week. Holy cow, this book was so good. So good. I don't think I've heard anybody's review of it online. I kind of avoided that. Not purposefully, I guess I avoided it. I don't know. It was longlisted for the Booker Prize this past year. I'm so glad I read this. This is like such a good book. I genuinely believe this should be like required reading for modern times. It's about climate change, it's about the planet, it's about the ocean, It's about technology and progress and what that means and the implications of it and the inevitability of it in every sense. But technology, AI, it's largely about AI and computers and human progress versus natural progress versus the tenacity of life and evolution, I guess, and how I feel like life will always evolve with whatever's going on. Life wants to persist. It will do everything it can to persist. And I feel like it was a book about those topics that didn't feel heavy and negative and scary. It felt inevitable and humane and wise and hopeful at the end. Oh my god, I just could like cry thinking about this book. I think I cried when I read it for sure. But we follow a few different characters. We get multiple perspectives. One of them is a woman who is an oceanographer. She's a diver. Yeah, she's a diver. Her father created the first diving suit that she tried when she was like 12, and it changed her life, and she just prefers to be in the ocean. Her relationship with her husband and her children, and her life, and her work that she's done. And I loved her sections on, she just had such wonderment, and she was just in awe of the ocean, and she was a huge advocate for the ocean, and she did such great work. And then we follow two boys and this other woman who is friends with these two boys. Growing up, one is a black boy, one is a white boy, like a wealthy white boy, one is a not very wealthy black boy, who end up at the same school together, and it's about their different perspectives of life in the world, and they're very different. One of our characters is a poet. He's super smart at reading, with poetry, with writing. That's his passion. The interior world, the interior life. And then our other character is a coder, so super into computers, creating websites, AI. He's a huge advocate for AI. And we see them grow up together, and this girl comes into their life in college. We know that they're separated now as when they're much older. I think in their 50s is the present time. But we know that they have separated. They were completely inseparable though as youths. Their lives completely inform each other. And the female character, where she came in, she's an artist, and we're set on this island called Makatia, which I learned about, and its history and how people mined that island to grow foods and stuff. So I felt like I was really learning a lot about geography and the world, and these people were just so interesting. And it's all about play and how important play is for animals and for humans and for learning and progress and all these things, and what progress means. And again, that it is inevitable and it doesn't have to be the worst thing in the world, but also what is necessary, what is right, what is moral. Oh my god, love this. So Playground by Richard Powers ended up being a little bit of a review, but this is a haul. I forgot there for a second. Blue Sisters by Coco Mellors, which I've just been hearing nothing but good things about, and I love this cover. I really love this cover. I'm just very intrigued. This is about 4 sisters. One of them has recently passed away. They're all very different. I think we get all of their perspectives. And it's about how they are dealing with life after the death of one of these sisters. I didn't read Cleopatra and Frankenstein, which was this author's first novel. I heard mixed things about it, but I've heard nothing but good things about this. Intermezzo by Sally Rooney put me in the mood for this, right? A modern book written by a young millennial female about life. So those are the vibes. And then last but not least in this end of year book haul, we have The City and Its Uncertain Walls by Haruki Murakami, which is the newest book by Murakami that came out in November. Look at the naked hardback. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that quite cool? I think that's really cool. I do think the UK cover is more beautiful than this, but like I just like the colors better. But at the same time, this looks kind of like ancient, you know? Like we see old brick stone walls, and it almost looks like there's like rusting dripping down, and we see shadows within there. It's very like evocative of like history and memory. So I actually kind of like it, but I know a lot of people don't like this cover. Anyway, I don't know what this book is about. It's a Haruki Murakami book. Came out I think on like November 17th. I bought it the day it came out because I was just excited about it. I can't say I'm like a huge Murakami fan. I think I've read like one book by him, but here we are. I'm excited about it. So we begin with a nameless young couple, a boy and a girl, teenagers in love. One day, the girl tells the boy about a mysterious town surrounded by a high wall. In that town, the girl tells him her real self resides, and if the boy could manage to come along, she might not recognize him. She might not recognize him, but he would find his own place. He could be a dream reader, each night reading old dreams. He isn't sure if he should believe her, but then one day she disappears and her absence haunts him for the rest of his life. Thus begins a search for this lost love that takes the man into middle age and on a journey between the real world and this other world. A town where unicorns, definitely a Murakami thing. Very magical realism, okay? A town where unicorns roam, where a gatekeeper determines who can enter and who must remain behind, and where shadows become untethered from themselves. Listening to his own dreams and premonitions, the man leaves his life in Tokyo behind and ventures to a small mountain town where he becomes the head librarian, only to learn the mysterious circumstances surrounding the gentleman who had the job before him. As the seasons pass and the man grows more uncertain about the porous boundaries between these two worlds, he meets a strange young boy who helps him to see what he's been missing all along. Wow! This sounds so good. I didn't even know this before I bought it. I just bought it. A love story, a quest, an ode to books and to the libraries that house them, and a parable for these strange post-pandemic times. The City and Its Uncertain Walls is the story of a town familiar to Haruki Murakami's readers, and a singular and towering achievement by one of modern literature's most important writers. Cannot wait to read this. This sounds like the perfect winter read, like cozy, magical, realism, vibes, dreamscapes, new worlds. I don't know what's going on. Can't wait. So that is my book haul. Very exciting. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know if you've read any of these books. I'd be very curious to hear your opinions. Have you read Plague On by Richard Powers? Please share your opinion, whether it's positive or negative. I'm totally open to it. I'd love to hear. And also, Jose Saramago specifically. Have you read anything by him? What's your favorite? Do you have any recommendations for books by, I was gonna say Portuguese authors, but they speak Portuguese in Brazil. So not from Brazil, but books from Portugal. Specifically books set in Portugal or that go to Portugal. I know that there's this one book called Night Train to Lisbon that I'm interested in. I forget the name of the author, but if you have read Night Train to Lisbon, don't remember the name of the author, but if you've read that book, which I think it's about like an English dude going to Lisbon, I don't know. Please let me know what you think of that. Like, what should I read before going to Spain and Portugal? I think I'm set on Spain, but like, I'd love to hear more about Portugal. Anyway, thanks so much for watching again. Like I said, have a great rest of your day, morning, evening, noon, or night, and goodbye.